Okay, so we are almost finishing. We are almost finishing. So this is the third section. Okay, so basic requirements for IVF and ICSI success. So to get adequate number of good quality eggs, predictors are, we have controlled ovarian hyperstimulation. So normal responders, people, when you stimulate the ovaries, we have normal responders, hyper responders, and also low responders. So, and it's based on the age and the level of AMH. Then we also we have basal FSH, LH, estrogen level. If a person is a smoker, alcoholic, or is very fat, it becomes very difficult for ovaries to be stimulated, and leading to infertility issues and challenges for IVF and ICSI. So we also have types of protocols or drugs to be used. So we have basic requirements for, so ultrasound monitoring with powered Doppler is very necessary to scan what is happening in the endometrium. That is when you put the embryo back into the endometrium, what is happening? Is it developing to a fetus? Biochemical monitoring, you look at the hormone levels of the woman after implanting the blastocyst. Ovulation induction so look at the levels of human coronal gonadotropin in the urine. Then technique of oocyte retrieval, egg retrieval, that's stimulation and retrieval. Embryology lab quality and expertise. So the laboratory person, is he qualified to be able to concentrate the sperm and put it in the catheter that will be put in the uterus of the woman, the IVF or ICSI. Selecting best embryos for transfer. How are we able to select best embryos for transfer? Number of embryos to be transferred. If you transfer too many embryos, there will be a lot of there will be multiple gestations, too many of them. So luteal support, we'll be looking at luteal support shortly. Okay, luteal support. So luteal support basically has to do with, after you have implanted the embryo or the blastocyst inside the endometrium, how are you able to make the endometrium become nourished to be able to take care of the fetus or the blastocyst? So the transformation of mature follicle into corpus luteum after the release of ovum is triggered by an optimal luteal surge, luteinizing hormone surge. So the function of corpus luteum is dependent upon continued luteinizing hormone stimulation in luteal phase. Corpus luteum is an essential source of fertility hormones like progesterone and estrogen and other vasoactive and growth factors. So when IVF happens like that, the corpus luteum is not able to produce enough of the progesterone and estrogen to cause luteinization and also desidualization, or making the endometrium rich in blood vessels, blood supply, estrogen, fat and others fat and glycogen to support the blastocyst or the embryo. So you need to add additional factors, and that is what we are going to see. So for luteal support, it is well established that the ovarian stimulation regimens used in assisted reproductive cycles alter the luteal phase. It makes the luteal phase very, very poor. The luteal phase is the glandular proliferation, desidualization, angiogenesis, or production of red blood cells to support the fetus. So if ovarian stimulation, as a result of ovarian stimulation, this luteal phase is not enhanced. So ovarian stimulation will result in an inadequate development of the endometrium and asynchrony between the endometrium and the transferred embryo, an adverse effect on endometrium receptivity. So the endometrium is not able to receive the blastocyst well or the embryo well. So it becomes difficult for embryo to grow due to ovarian stimulation. So what do we need to do, or what does the gynecologists or the embryologists need to do? So we have to provide luteal phase support. So the luteal phase defect in IVF is present whether gonadotropic releasing hormone agonist or antagonist is used. The possible mechanism responsible may be continuation of pituitary downregulation effect, duration of luteal phase is shortened, formation of multiple corpus luteum leading to inhibition of pulsatile LH release. All this has to do with what? With the IVF mechanism. The endometrium is not receptive enough to receive the embryo, so you need to add additional things to cause glandular proliferation, cellular proliferation, angiogenesis or production of red blood cells to support the fetus, or the embryo. So the luteal phase support has to do with, we need to complement hormonal production because the corpus luteum is not able to produce enough estrogen and progesterone, so we need to add synthetic or commercial estrogen and progesterone. We also need to add human chorionic gonadotropin, LH, and those things. We need to buy them from pharmaceutical companies or pharmaceutical shops and inject them. Newer agents which promote angiogenesis, that's production of red blood cells, and vascular supply has to also be used. So progesterone preparations available because, like I said, because the corpus luteum in IVF and ICSI, because of ovarian stimulation, the corpus luteum is not able to produce enough of progesterone and estrogen. We need to buy progesterone and estrogen from the market. So we have to use the micronized oral or vagina or pessary. That's pessary is any drug or tablet or solid oral dosage form that we put in the vagina. It's a medicine like capsule or tablet you put in the vagina, it will melt and go and solve problems like fungal infections, candidiasis, and the rest. So intramuscular too, we have oil-based preparations. Subcutaneous, we have aqueous-based preparation. For intramuscular, you put it, you inject into the muscle. Subcutaneous, you inject into the subcutaneous layer, and the synthetic ones too. Some of them you implant them, some of them you take them orally. Okay, so these are all luteal phase support to cause glandular proliferation in the endometrium, to cause endometrium to multiply in red blood cell production, to cause it to produce more glycogen, more lipid, and hyperplasia to support the growing fetus, so that the growing fetus will come out with a normal birth weight, with the brain functioning and everything okay. So these are the type of estrogens that are in the market for luteal phase support. I guess you know the luteal phase of your menstrual cycle. Okay, so these are all luteal phase support you should go and read on. So luteal phase support, also estrogen, progesterone. Then we also have, they said nutritional. Some people said if you take in vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, zinc, taurine, carotene, they will improve the luteal phase. But this does not have strong conclusion as to whether it will benefit or cause improvement in luteal phase or growth or improvement in the luteal phase. So, but technically, testosterone and estrogen precursor, which is dihydroepiandrosterone, has been shown to cause luteal phase support or to support the luteal phase. So when you use DHEA, which is dihydroepiandrosterone, it will improve the luteal phase. So what happens to the embryos using DHEA? What happens is that for women with premature ovarian aging, if they have premature ovarian aging, if you inject women with premature ovarian aging with DHEA, then it's going to cause cumulative pregnancy rate will be high. And women with diminished ovarian reserve also, cumulative pregnancy rate will be high. So it's very good if you want the woman to be pregnant, then you add dihydroepiandrosterone to improve the luteal phase. And the luteal phase has to do with what? Luteinization, or the growth of the endometrium, proliferating with glands, proliferating with red blood cells, proliferating with glycogen and lipids. So what happens again is that for the luteal phase support, if women with we say age stratified miscarriage rates in DHA support, so women who have been given this drug DHEA will have lower rate of what? Miscarriage. So and the rate of miscarriage increases with age. They are in the black, so they have lower rate of miscarriage compared to those who do not have the luteal phase support or the DHEA. So when you go for the IVF, that is not enough. There are some things you should do. They have to give you some medications that will improve and make your endometrium very competitive and receptive for the fetus to grow. Without much ado, I bring the curtain down for today's lecture. Any questions? Abuke, you start the question. I want us to hear well. Start the question. You said what?
This is not good.
Who is asking? Mention your name and ask your question. Eh? Hello. Bertha, are you asking a question? Your mic is on. Please, you know I'm recording, so ask your question.
My question was
Hello.
yes, sir.
Ask your question, Inusa.
My question is based on infertility. If I heard you right, like most of the process are yes, the early stage. Does it mean that after giving birth, this infertility will not someone will not have this infertility again?
This is what? I don't have earpiece, so I'm straining my ears to listen to you. Please take it again.
Does it mean that after giving birth, it's not possible for a lady or for couples to get infertility?
Oh no, there is secondary infertility and primary infertility. Some you can have a child or two children, and still the man can become azoospermia. The woman too can have polycystic ovarian syndrome after giving birth to one child or two. So there is something we call primary infertility, that's those who have not delivered before, and secondary infertility, those who have delivered. So that one is in your previous slide, the lecture 5, last week's lecture. It's inside it. So the fact that you have delivered already does not mean that you cannot become infertile. There are a whole lot of factors that lead to infertility. Please, have I answered you?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, so if there are no more questions, let me discuss with you your midterm.